Hi, I'm Rick Belt, the EV Mic Guy. Thanks for watching. Reading through our viewer mail, I came across this one from Brian in Mission Hills, California. Brian writes, "Hey Rick, the drummer in our band just bought some PL37s for his drum kit and they sound great. We're recording in my project studio and I'm thinking about using them on some acoustic guitar overdubs. Is this a good idea? And if so, can you give me some placement tips?" Sure, Brian, I'll be glad to. Those are great questions and thanks so much for asking. I'm also glad to hear you like the way it sounds on cymbals. The PL37 is a very versatile small diaphragm condenser. Not only is it a great solution for miking hi-hat and overheads on drum kits because of its high dynamic range and detail, it's also a great solution for miking acoustic stringed instruments as well as percussion. Condensers are preferred over dynamics for miking acoustic guitar because of their overall openness and detailed sound characteristics. Dynamic elements rely on the mechanical transfer of sound pressure moving a thin diaphragm and a coil of wire within a magnetic field to create its signal. It takes time to move those items, and it's the difference in time between the initial acoustical event and the throughput of the microphone that actually compresses the dynamic events. So dynamics are somewhat compressive to the sound source. All of the sound is there, but portions of the dynamic detail will be averaged by the microphone element, giving a sense of a closed sound lacking in air and spaciousness. Condensers, on the other hand, don't rely on that mechanical transfer to generate signal. They measure and translate changes in acoustical pressure without the use of the moving parts in a dynamic, so they're able to capture and translate far more dynamic detail. And it's that dynamic detail that translates into a far more open sound. The PL37 is a self-biased condenser with a frequency response of 50 Hz to 16 kHz. Its output sensitivity of 7 millivolts per Pascal provides generous gain to drive any mic pre, and it has a dynamic range of 107 dB with a maximum SPL of 132 dB. Its tight cardioid polar pattern provides excellent isolation and rejection of nearby instruments and other sources of ambient clutter. And its shock mount provides excellent isolation from mechanical vibrations, making it great for recording. I'd like to demonstrate the PL37 on acoustic guitar in various mic placements, so I'll go ahead and get set up for the demo. Okay, so I've got a good quality acoustic guitar here for the demonstration, not the top of the line, not the bottom of the line, somewhere right there in the middle. Certainly not the warmest and richest guitar I've ever played or recorded, but certainly not the thinnest. But for today's purposes, I think it's going to do a fine job. Now, the first technique I want to show you is my bass line, or basically where I start anytime I go to record an acoustic guitar. And that's to place the microphone directly over the 12th fret, 10 to 12 inches out off of the fretboard, but aiming in toward the sound hole. This will give me a good balance between harmonics and string detail and also the richness of the body. So I'm going to play a brief little part that's got plenty of open string, some picking and some strumming to give you an idea what the mic sounds like on this guitar in this position. So let me do that for you. All right, so that's 10 to 12 inches out over the fretboard, directly over the 12th fret, aiming at the sound hole. I'm going to move and do another technique, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the next technique I want to demonstrate is something popular I see a lot of people do, and that's to place the mic 8 to 10 inches directly over the point where the neck and the body meet, which would be the 15th fret. And this will give you string and body. And I'm going to play the same figure I played before and give you an idea what this technique sounds like on this guitar. Okay, so I'm going to modify that technique a little bit. I'm going to leave it in the same position, but also aim it in more toward the sound hole. Basically just rotate the mic boom a little bit so that it's aiming toward the sound hole, but still it's based directly over the 15th fret where the body and the neck join. So I'll play the same figure again, give you an idea what that small adjustment does for the sound. Okay, so that's a technique where the microphone is over the 15th fret, directly over where the body and the neck join. There's another one I want to show you with one mic, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this next technique raises the mic up to about the top of the body. It's directly over the 17th fret, but aiming in toward the sound hole. And what you're going to notice is the farther down the body you get, the more warmth you're going to get off of the guitar. But one thing to consider is that there's a lot of boominess that comes out of the sound hole, and what I've experienced is anytime I try to mic directly at the sound hole, I end up with an overwhelming amount of boominess coming out of the sound hole, and I try to avoid that spot. But aiming the mic toward the sound hole but not in direct relationship to it will avoid that. So I'm going to play the same figure again. And once again, the technique is the microphone is about 10 to 12 inches out off of the fretboard over the 17th fret, basically aligned with the top of the body here, aiming in toward the sound hole. So let me give you an idea what that sounds like on this guitar. All right, I've shown you actually four different techniques of a single mic. Now I want to get set up to do a stereo miking technique, and I'll be right back. I'm set up to do a stereo technique with the PL37s, and before I get started, I just want to mention to you that when you're using two mics on any sound source or multiple sound sources, you need to consider what they call the 3-to-1 rule to avoid any kind of phase cancellations or phase problems that you'll have by multiple miking. And the 3-to-1 rule basically means that the distance between two microphones needs to be 3 times the distance from any one of the individual sound sources. So in this situation, the distance between the PL37 on the bass of the guitar and the nut of the guitar are at least 3 times the distance between the microphone that's over the nut, which is about 6 or 7 inches, and the microphone that's over the saddle or the bridge, which is about 8 or 9 inches. So the 3-to-1 rule here prevents any kind of phase cancellations, and this applies whether or not you're recording for a ultimate stereo field with your instruments, or what I'm doing in this particular demo, which is summing them to mono. But anyway, the 3-to-1 rule is very important when you're using multiple mics on single or multiple sound sources. So for this particular technique, I'm using 2 different mics, and they're directly over either end of the string. This PL37 is directly over the saddle, or what's part of the bridge. It's about 8 or 9 inches out away from the body. And there's another one here at the nut. And the nut is going to capture a lot of the harmonics off of the string, as well as the harmonics down here off of the saddle. Now, the mic on the saddle is going to capture more of the warmth and body of the guitar, and the one over the nut is going to capture more of the harmonics off of the strings. So if you think about the way a guitar string works on a guitar body, you've got a tremendous amount of harmonics at either end of the string, one at the nut and one at the saddle, because this is where the string ends. So this particular technique I came across several years ago, used it several times to very good success, and I just want to give you an idea what the PL37 sound like in stereo using this particular technique of either end of the string. So I'm going to play that same figure I played before and give you an idea what the stereo blend sounds like with this particular technique. Okay, so that's two PL37s basically set up as a stereo recording on either end of the string, one at the nut, one at the saddle. So there you are, Brian. The PL37 is an outstanding solution for miking an acoustic guitar with single or multiple mics. Just remember the 3-to-1 rule if you're going for a stereo or blended mic sound. Thanks again for your question. So that's it for this show, folks. Thanks for watching. This is Rick Bell, the EV Mic Guy. See you next time.